Blonde bombshell Anna Nicole Smith has come a long way from her small-town Texas roots, but these days her fame and fortune are fleeting. Just how did the sex goddess lose it all? Jody Baskerville traces Anna Nicole's road to self-destruction in tonight's Hollywood Exposed.
Anna Nicole Smith, big, busty, and beautiful. She roared out of Texas like a platinum tornado to become Playmate of the Year, a supermodel, and even a movie star. Then tragedy struck. Anna Nicole OD'd, got fat, went broke, and then crashed. Anna Nicole, beautiful and damned.
Very sloppy drunk. And she was all over anybody that was near her when she was drunk.
It's hard to believe that Anna Nicole Smith has fallen so far so fast. It was only a few years ago that this heart-shaped face blonde, who once fried chicken in Texas, was being touted as the world's next sex goddess.
What I see in Anna is a throwback to the magic of stars from the 50s.
Some people want big, busted blondes on their arms. Mostly short, dark men with cigars in their mouths.
One of those men was J. Howard Marshall, a Texas oil man worth $500 million. When she married this millionaire, her life became the American dream, but it quickly turned into a nightmare. Mark Spear was a security official for Playboy. He watched Anna Nicole's fall.
It was just everything in excess.
Well, what kind of drugs did she use?
Cocaine and Quaaludes and uppers and downers and just about anything she could get a hold of.
The 1994 New Year's Eve party at the Playboy Mansion was memorable for Spear. He says Anna Nicole disappeared with Brat Packer Judd Nelson. Hefner's wife Kimberly asked Spear to find them. He did, in the grotto, naked.
They were making love.
The amorous Anna Nicole lost more than her honor that night. She lost her flashy wedding ring. Spear found it in the rocks, but Anna Nicole didn't pick it up until 10 months later.
I found that kind of humorous because she had talked in that interim of how much her husband meant to her.
Anna Nicole's plunge was helped by her spending sprees. According to court papers, she's bankrupt, now $8 million in debt. $1.5 million to jeweler Harry Winston, $47,000 to Fred Heyman in Beverly Hills, and nearly $500,000 is due Neiman Marcus.
What's brought the bankruptcy about is she was sued by her housekeeper, her maid, who claimed that Anna Nicole forced lesbian sex on her, plied her with drink and drugs. And she has to pay this, by the court's order, $800,000. It's money that she hasn't got.
This is where Anna Nicole used to live, a Bel Air mansion she bought with cash. Notice the monogrammed gates. But this Burbank apartment building is where the fallen star hides out today, in seclusion ever since her second overdose.
We're hooked up and ready to go.
So what is the future of Anna Nicole, whose superstardom seems so bright? It's flickering. The folks on the internet still call up her image. Her Playboy video is in the top 5, and this man, Elliot Bellin, used her in a TV show called Eden Quest, and he'd use her again.
Anna has a job with us anytime she wants to. She performed brilliantly in Eden Quest.
Joan Quinn was an editor for Andy Warhol's Interview magazine. She says Anna Nicole still has a few minutes left of her 15 minutes of fame, but time is running out.
I think if she starts taking acting lessons and losing weight and living in her own person, she may have a chance to be something. But you know, they go up and they come down, and sometimes there's a fluke. She could be a fluke.
Industry insiders are still wondering what went wrong. Where was her support system of family and friends? What, if anything, could have prevented what appears to be just another sad ending to a Hollywood fairy tale?
We don't know if the guy she's seeing is a boyfriend or just a friend.
Has fame sent this star into the outer limits? Hard Copy has learned the sexy on-screen FBI agent just recently dumped her real-life hubby of 3 years. She was spotted on the town with this guy, and now may be having a close encounter of a new kind.
She's told some of her pals she simply got bored with Clyde, needed someone who was a little more adventuresome.
Anderson and Hughes reportedly met when the alien actor appeared as an X-Files extra on the Fed Patel show last year. The two are rumored to have spent a romantic New Year's in England, so Hardcopy traveled Britside for some answers and caught up with Hughes' mother, who lives north of London.
On the day she was here, Miss Anderson stayed at the house. My son did not. She's a friend of the family, and there's nothing more to talk about.
Gillian's love 'em and leave 'em behavior might have some old friends flashing back to her past as a wild child.
She was the kid from hell.
How long was I that way?
But until recently, Anderson was the doting mother and loving wife.
I think she's looking for some fun. We hear Clyde is kind of subdued.
Like many Hollywood couples, has success taken its toll on Gillian's marriage? She just won a Golden Globe and last year was voted Sexiest Woman of the Year. Quite a turnaround from her younger years.
Gillian has a very wild background, and there's still quite a wild streak in her.
We may never know if Anderson and Hughes are just bosom buds or a cozy couple, which means only one thing: Gillian's secret may be forever buried in her very own sex files. Now, the sexy star's husband, Clyde, has reportedly moved out of their $2 million mansion into a $500 a month apartment in a rundown section of Vancouver where the X-Files is filmed. Talk about an ex-husband filed away.
Now, could there be a clash of the comics in the works out there in TV land? As Rosie O'Donnell settles into her spot as television's top talker, there's someone waiting in the wings, hoping to rock Rosie's world. Jerry Pennicoli has the story.
But it really did help my career doing Star Search. After I did the show, I was up for a part in a movie. They said, "You can have the part, can you drop the New York accent?" I said, "Sure."
It's a battle that began years ago on the stand-up circuit. Rosie and Roseanne, each vying for laughs.
I don't exercise. I'm Jewish. I'd pay someone to do that for me.
Now the two Rosies will duke it out for the title of Daytime Darling.
I have talked to it's pretty fun. I can tell you that much. But it's a lot more work than I ever thought.
Rosie is young and fresh.
But Roseanne's resolved to be very different.
I think that she'll push the envelope. She's never not pushed the envelope. That's who she is. There would be really no reason to do a show if you're going to do what Rosie does.
The Queen of Nice against the Queen of Thrice, as in Married. Maybe having wed Bill, Tom, and Ben, Roseanne is a better person to dive into controversial personal subjects than the never-married Rosie.
Well, you live, you learn, don't you?
You never know what is going to come out of her mouth. And I'd assume that she's going to encourage that in her guests.
Rosie has a nice voice, even though she has a kind of funny accent. Roseanne has a whiny, scratchy voice.
But maybe Roseanne's other fine qualities can win the day for her. After all, everyone loved her rough, domestic goddess persona on her sitcom.
On a talk show level, she'll probably have to soften that a bit. That sort of abrasiveness doesn't work on a day-to-day basis.
So maybe a slightly softened Roseanne can actually coexist on the airwaves with everyone's favorite Queen of Nice, Rosie.
It's a pretty good job if you can get it.
Roseanne's talkie doesn't get going until fall of next year, but diehard fans can catch her tonight on Third Rock from the Sun.
Now, life's a beach when you're rich and famous. Just ask the folks along the California coast. They go there to get away from all the frenzied fans and prying paparazzi and press, but they can't hide from us. Come along with us for a little game of Malapikaboo. It's the pampered playground of Hollywood's elite, a private beachfront enclave in Malibu. Locals call it the Colony.
Malibu Colony is like the ultimate place to live for Hollywood's rich and famous.
This gated neighborhood is off limits to outsiders, so Hardcopy hopped on a boat and took our own little tour to discover some terrific and some trashy digs, a place where Robert Redford can borrow a cup of sugar from Frank Sinatra just up the street, where Mel Gibson takes the trash to the curb. Even Janet Jackson and Olivia Newton-John have cute little cottages here.
Olivia Newton-John's house is true star quality. Look at the way it's perched on the hill. It almost looks like a hotel.
But then we saw the shoebox that Farrah Fawcett and live-in lover Ryan O'Neal call home.
Ryan and Farrah, that fabulous golden couple, live in this unpretentious house. Look at it. It's really awful.
And for Planet Hollywood couple Bruce and Demi, you might expect something out of this world.
What are they hiding behind that wall? It doesn't look like she spent part of that $12 million paycheck that she got for striptease on that house.
But despite a half-dozen homely houses, there is one media mogul who did not disappoint us.
Spielberg's home is fabulous. It reminds me of something out of Star Wars. It's huge, and you really feel that if you look out on the ocean, E.T. could come down at any moment.
For most of Hollywood's elite, these are just summer homes, but most people would be happy to call a shoebox like this home all year round.